Fantastic. Okay. I want to officially call this meeting. Now that we have recognized that we have quorum, I want to go ahead and call this meeting officially to order at 1:02 p.m. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us on this sunny afternoon, right around the lunchtime. If you didn't get lunchtime in at noon, too bad. You got to wait until after this. Um, I just wanted to, I had intended to have sort of a meeting before the meeting with my fellow board members, but since we didn't get the opportunity to do that, what I'd like to do is just to quickly level set. Lenore, I know you're a veteran in this um, committee. You've been on this committee before, correct?
Yes, and I've chaired
Yes,
it before.
and
Yes,
chaired it,
thank you.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to kind of level set in terms of speaking to. I'm not going to go to through the whole policy, but just to kind of refresh everybody. Miss Cynthia Stone is new to this committee, so am I, but also for members of the public who may be watching or going back to look at our meeting live or meeting stream. So part of our function in the FF&O committee is to do what's called management, is to review management oversight. And what that is and is not limited to is curriculum, teaching and learning, construction, finance, food services, human resources, technology, transportation, accountability, and communications. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to fulfill our oversight management responsibilities by overseeing the annual external financial audit process, which I just got done signing a contract late last week. We're ensuring that the superintendent acts on the auditor's recommendations. We're reviewing the performance of all major management systems that I just spoke of on an annual basis or a more frequent basis, using metrics proposed by the superintendent and approved by the board. We want to ensure that the superintendent accurately and comprehensively communicates the performance results of these systems within the Charlotte-Mecklenburg community in a timely fashion, and we want to be reviewing the integrity of all major management systems at least every 3 years, where integrity is defined as overall effectiveness, including structure, process, metrics, internal controls, etc. One of the things that this committee will be doing this year is that last one, which is review the integrity of all major management systems at least every 3 years, because we could not trace back where it had been done in the last 3 years. So just put a pin in that. You'll hear more about that a little bit later. It goes on to talk about other things, but I just wanted to have that as a reminder and also just to lift that up. So our first report, we're going to start with Kelly Klutz. And Kelly, I will want to schedule a time where we speak about the targets, but we can do that. We can do that at a later time, but that will come. Maricel, can you make a note to reach out to Kelly about the targets on this report?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, Kelly, go ahead with your report.
All right. Thank you, Chair Haynes. So we want to get started by reviewing the 3 financial reports that were requested for this committee this year. These are reports that we have not presented in the past. So I'm going to take a little bit of time and walk you through each of these so that we can have a better understanding of what you're looking at. So I had staff pull these reports going all the way back to July, since we had not reported these out previously. And so we were targeting a March FF&O meeting, and then that later got changed. So I did not have staff rerun the reports. So what we have is July through February, maybe March the 3rd, early March. So that's what we have before us. We thought it was important to go back all the way to July so that you have everything that has transacted as of the first of the school year. And so there are 3 reports. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. There are 3 reports that we're reporting on today. One is invoice aging not paid as of 3/3/26. The next one is a payables payment register for the period of time we just discussed, and as well as a payment aging. And we'll talk about the differences as we review them. So I want to talk about just a little bit before we get started in the details, what these reports will show and what they will not show, right? So the items on these report are things that have entered into the financial process. For example, invoices, purchase orders, reimbursements, and payments. It would not show something that has not been entered into a financial process. And so just to give you a couple examples of that so that you know what I'm talking about. If an employee obligates Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools and does not use the process that's defined by CMS, you would not see that here on these reports. So for example, we have a new employee is trying to get a building painted and goes out and negotiates with a vendor, but doesn't follow the process and doesn't issue a PO. If there is no PO in our system, it's not going to be tracked in this process. You're not going to see it on a report because we don't know it exists. We don't know that commitment was made. So something like that would not show up on one of these reports. So there's things that we know about. Another example of something that would not show up on these reports are payroll related items. So if someone was hired by the school or HR, and you would never see that in an accounts payable process. So these reports are accounts payable only. There's an entire different process for HR that has to go through, onboarding, hiring, compliance, all the things that happens on the HR side. So these reports would not show up anything payroll related. Chair Haynes, do you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. Do you all have a report of off-cycle checks through HR? And what an off-cycle check might be is where, an employee missed, for some reason we missed paying that employee, so we had to run an off-cycle check to make them whole. Do we have such a thing?
So that would be a payroll report, not an accounts payable report. And yes, of course, we have a check register for all of our payroll runs, and we do have off cycles on a regular basis, probably one a week, somewhere around in there. But yes, if there's something
that's not too bad for 19,000 employees.
Yeah, so it depends on the timing of the year and that kind of thing. But anytime that we're notified that something was missed for some reason, it could be the employee did not sign into Timekeeper appropriately, so they didn't get paid. And once that's brought to our attention, we want to make sure that employee gets paid as quickly as possible. So we would put it on an off cycle, but it's not going to show up in these particular reports.
Yeah, that's okay. I was just asking.
Okay. All right. So let's dig in. I went ahead and opened the reports because some of these are big reports, so I wanted to have them open for you. So this report is an invoices outstanding not paid. So this is everything that we knew about on March the 3rd is what this was dated. So out of everything that we know about and we've not paid yet, we had about $3 million of outstanding invoices in amount, and that's about 1,224 of those invoices that we knew about. And here's the aging. Like, so this is a summary in a couple of different buckets, current to 15 days. We tried to provide a summary. And so you can see that the majority of the invoices that we know about are paid within the 30-day terms that we have. Of course, there are some that are not paid that we know about, and there's a couple of different reasons for some of that. So, and I'll go over that in just a minute. So the first page is the summary, and then when you go down and you have to use your magnifying glass because it's really, really small, you're going to get, and this is a long report, remember, because it starts in July. So when we start doing them, they'll be shorter. It tells you who we paid, Staples, for example, invoice number, invoice amount, invoice date, invoice due date, and current date, right? Where we are. So we still have on March the 3rd, we had this to do. And it was 193 days old at the time, or at June 30. And so then there's a reason that's pretty generic over here a lot of times. So then if you go down, you're going to see this is, this is an 18-page report. And you're going to keep going until you start seeing negative numbers. So these aren't due yet. So they're on the list, but they're not even due yet. So we've got 16 days, 17 days, 20 days to get these paid. So that's what you're seeing there, all along the report. Okay, so these are things we know about and that are not paid yet and how old they are. Okay. I want to speak to some of the reasons that that things might be showing on here, because there's situations where we may pay them and we may not, right? There may be invoices on here that that vendors invoiced incorrectly. And if a vendor invoiced it incorrectly, we're not going to pay it. And what we've done is we've communicated with that vendor and we've said, something's wrong with your invoice and I need you to issue a credit so that we can match up that debit and that credit and it'll clear off. Oftentimes that takes a good little bit of time to get a vendor to do that for you, and then we're at the mercy of them, but we're not going to pay something that's wrong. So that's one reason that it might be on here and it might be showing a few days old. Also, any pricing, quantity discrepancies, partial shipment issues, moves from a quote exception, all of those things have to be evaluated and researched before that they can be paid. So accuracy is more important than speed sometimes here. We also rely on all of our departments to acknowledge receipt of goods. So we're not going to pay for anything until we know that we've gotten the service or the goods, and we're waiting for a department or a school to acknowledge that before we pay it. So if the department or school says we haven't received it yet, then it may sit on here a little bit longer because we're not going to pay for it. Oftentimes, or there are occasions where some vendors think if I send them the bill early, I'll get paid early, even though it's not been delivered, even though it's not been, the service hasn't been completed. So there's a whole lot of reasons. Also, all of our travel reimbursements get on this list once there's a prior approval done. So, for example, if I'm going to a conference in October, I would submit my prior approval. I could submit it now, and Dr. Hill would approve it. And then it would sit in this system, and it would wait till after I traveled, and it will age it from the minute I put it in the system. So if I put it in now, April, and I don't travel until October, then it's going to look like, what is that? That's 6 months. It's going to look like it's 6 months old because I haven't traveled yet. I haven't finalized my travel expense, so it's going to show some age on it. So those are just some things. One more I would just say is snail mail. So when invoices are sent through the mail, the post office, and then potentially delivered to departments or schools and sit on somebody's desk, then have to go through the courier, and sometimes get lost and sometimes don't get to us. That creates delays as well. So we have changed all of our processes to try to eliminate some of those problems, especially the snail mail. Everything goes to an electronic email box now. But there are reasons we will never get to 100% paid within 30 days. We just won't, because you would be paying things that were inaccurate and that Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools does not owe. Chair Hayes, I see you have another question.
Sure, a couple of things. One is this, the reason why this, well, I'm not even gonna respond with the reason why this was requested. What I'd like to do is for you to explain to us laymen, about why someone would ask for a report like this. What is the purpose of this report from a financial standpoint, and why would a board member want to know about this? I will give you this feedback. Um, Members of the public believe that Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools does not pay on time. And so what this does is this equips us as a board who requested this report to say, no, we know that there are outstanding invoices, um, but we're within line of what we need to be in line of, and we're also holding our school system accountable for those things. So you may have thought I was asking for this report for another reason, but that's really why I asked for this report. And it's also so that we know from a factual perspective of what's happening. Not instead of just assuming that because a lawn service company or somebody else said they're not getting paid on time, that we have something factual and we are holding folks accountable. But um, can you please speak to what the purpose of this report would be from a financial standpoint? Hopefully, I was listening and you had not covered that.
So I think you did a great job of explaining it. That is, so we have, I'm just going to go back, and I'm getting long, so stop me if you want me to stop. I'll just go back to ESSER days and COVID. So we had about 500 million more dollars drop into the school system over a period of time. And so that volume, and there was a significant amount of those dollars that went through accounts payable with purchases. We didn't increase staff, and there was a ton of transactions. And as you know, most people were working remote. So it was a very difficult time. I came in at the end of that. We had some transition in staff. We had some significant issues. And at the time, I would agree with you, or I would agree with the public. And I would have said CMS didn't pay their invoices on time. That was a true statement. On July the 10th, the first week that I sat in this chair, 3 vendors called me and said, we're cutting you off because of non-payment. 3 major vendors. And I knew at that time we had to do a massive transition, and we have. And I can't tell you how incredibly proud I am of the team that we have right now. The team that we have had for the last year has done an unimaginable amount of work to get this fixed. In addition, at the same time, they transitioned to a new ERP system, and I did not know how to use the system, but made tremendous progress on how they're tracking. So I think if you put our numbers right now up against any organization, they would probably be very comparable in that these are the kind of normal things that you see in a business, because everybody has the same problems, right? People not receiving, or it not being right, not wanting to pay, and all of those different things. But our desire is to be exceptional, right? And so we are working hard, and the team is just doing an incredible job. We've also put in some accountability measures in the district that has helped a tremendous amount, that started back in September. So I agree with you. I appreciate that we're getting this out in the public, in a public meeting, so that our vendors and the public understands kind of what we've been up against and how well the team is doing.
And in addition to that, don't our creditors and other people look at these things to say, how healthy are you as an organization if you're not paying some of your bills and those things? So it does mean something. And I believe it'll mean a lot to the public, for my fellow committee members, and also for the board to be able to say when they get that comment or that statement, to know what we're really talking about. Thank you for that, and I'm gonna call on, Ms. Shipp. Go ahead,
Yes,
Board Member Shipp.
yes. First, I want to say thank you to Ms. Klutz, Kelly Klutz, because I was here during COVID. I had just gotten on the board in 2019 when all this happened. You're exactly right. There was a whole lot going on, and this was an issue. And I thank you so much for all the work you've done, and also this kind of report. But also, I think one of the questions was about encumbering funds too, and how that worked through this piece. Because a lot of times when you were mentioning that example of you going on a trip, but you're not going to pay for it until later, would that have been better to do an encumber the fees, or to set that up as a purchase or a contract, a PO? So that was another piece. But I thank you for this, because I know there was a lot that happened during COVID, and we had to just change the way we think about doing things. It's been a lot. So thank you for that. But yeah, that.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was saying in that piece about encumbering funds, I just thought that was another piece there to think about, but and how schools were doing that and how that was working.
Yeah, the schools are doing amazing. And one other thing, and Chair Haynes, I really appreciate the opportunity to say these things, is I don't think the public understands the volume that we do here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, as Ms. Lenora was saying. So we had, from July to February on these reports, we had 61,713 invoices that we have processed. So 61,000. So to break that down, that's 7,700 a month, 1,928 invoices a week, or 385 invoices a day. So every single day, we get nearly 400 invoices here.
Wow.
So the volume is incredible.
So why on this report does it only show 1,200 invoices? Is that for 1 month or?
It's a great question. These are the ones that we haven't paid yet. So out of everything that we have, we
got you. Okay.
Yep.
Got
So
you.
1,200, that's a good point. So if we get 400 a day and we've only got 1,200 outstanding, then that kind of is almost like we only have 4 days of backlog. Now, they're over a period of time, but that speaks volumes to what the team is doing.
Okay,
So
fantastic.
that report, thank you. That report, I think I'm, that report was invoices not paid. The next report is a payment register. And so we just simply took a dump of our system from July 1st. And remember, we started on this new ERP system on July 1st. So it took us a week or two to get acclimated. So this first check run was on July 9th for this particular one. Oh, let me go to the start of the report. These are our bond payments. So basically you have 3 banks here. County bond payments. We didn't start making those until August, right? Because of the new ERP system. And so then you can see the check number, the date, the vendor, and the amount. And you just keep scrolling. This one's 227 pages long. And eventually you get to the second bank, and that's the North Carolina Department of State Treasurer core banking. So basically this was our state bank. We started using that in July, and you can see all the detail associated with that. What we found is that Oracle programmed our system a little bit different than what we asked them to do. And so we were planning to operate in a state bank and in the couple different banks, but Oracle programmed it so that everything would go to our local bank. And then we would just reimburse the local bank out of the state bank. Well, we had about 3 months of discussion on what was better. And we ended up agreeing with Oracle and said the way that you programmed it was better. So that's the way we're operating, but that's why you don't see a lot in the state bank, because we moved everything over to the local bank, and we just moved the money out of the state bank into the local bank. And so this is where the report gets long. Here's in August, and you got 227 pages until you get down to kind of the most current things. And so you've got February here, all the checks that we have written in accounts payable. Okay. And that'll be shorter going forward because we won't go all the way back to July. And then the final report is, so remember the first report was things that we haven't paid yet and the aging. Well, these are things that we have paid and the aging associated with it. So we went all the way back and did the summary. So in July, these are the amount of invoices we paid. This is how old they were when we paid them. This is how much, right? And we did that for every single month. And then we put it all together for a total. So if you're looking at kind of stats on how we're doing, because that's what I look at from my team, is we are paying 85, 86% within 45 days. We want 90%. Our immediate goal is 90% in 30 days. That's our immediate goal. And then these little things we'll want to improve on as well. So here we are, your 61,000 invoices, 344,000 lines. So sometimes an invoice might have 4,000 lines on it. Think about child nutrition with all of their food stuff. Chair Haynes, you're on mute.
Just one more thing. You mentioned the 90%, the goal is to have 90% invoices within 30 days. I would love to see, I'm not sure if that's where the target should be placed on this cover sheet that we get. And if not, is it a possibility for us to see that?
Of course.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
So we don't have to have a side conversation now.
Okay. Okay. And this is the really long report because we did the summary here, but then we have all of the detail listed. So vendor.
The summary is fine because we can go back and look at the summary, but this does kind of give us high level where we are in terms of payments within 30 days.
It does. Okay. And if you had something specific that you wanted to look at, it would be here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. I'm happy to take any other questions.
Okay, we see none. We're gonna go to, oh, you got more reports though.
I do.
Oh, Stone, Mr.
Ms. Stone, I'm sorry, Board Member Stone has a question. Take yourself off mute.
She's not showing
Uh-oh.
you.
We cannot hear you. We can't hear you. If you're at the government center, you're welcome to take the call in my office where you can hear. Would you like to come to my office? Okay, she's coming to my office. Okay, we'll call on you when you get to a place where you can hear. Okay. All right, go right ahead, Kelly, and we'll call on Miss Stone after she. I gotta unlock my door though. Go ahead, I can hear. Apologies.
I don't have any other reports. What is it?
Sorry, I thought you had. Oh no, my apologies. You did cover it all. Okay.
I was sweating it.
Next, okay. So Miss Candace. How
Good
are you
afternoon,
today?
everyone.
Good
Good. It's good to see
afternoon.
you.
Okay, Miss Stone is just entering the building. You want to go ahead with your question, Miss Stone?
What I was going to say was that I really appreciate the goal of 100%, but it also, I'm more than happy to hear that the invoices are being checked and evaluated and researched before they're just automatically paid, because you can never get it back. It's hard as you
Mhm.
try. But
That's exactly right.
so while, yeah, I agree the deadlines are really important as far as payment, but it's more important that they're accurate. So if it's over, if it's over 30 days, oh well, if they send a bad invoice, how can they expect to be paid?
Well, the target is 90%.
Right. I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And one more quick example I want to give you is like our schools have money in their school accounts. They have a bank account, so they could do business with Food Line on their school account and do business with us here. And the school will have paid it, and Food Line will send us an invoice, and we're like, no, 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 no. That's been paid by the school, and that just takes some time to unravel, and that
Mhm.
happens a lot.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Well, we're fine. All right.
Yep.
Okay. For real this time, Miss Candace, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm going to
Okay.
share my screen. Good afternoon,
you.
everyone. I'm Dr. Candace Salmon-Hosey. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Charlotte-Mecklenburg School System, and I'm really happy to be here today to give you a report of our 4 focus areas, our targets. And so I'll share this report with everyone. The breakdown of the target areas are cybersecurity, AI implementation, vendor approval and security process, and device management and governance systems. As you can see, there is a common denominator with all of our targets, and that is security. So our first target is
I apologize very heavily. Rookie mistake here. There's something that
Oh,
I'm
that's okay.
supposed to do after each report.
Okay, let me stop sharing.
Oh,
No,
wait a
just the
minute.
management
No.
oversight reports.
I'm wrong about that. The report that you just heard
Not with funding.
was not that's not a management oversight report. So go ahead.
Okay,
You got it.
I will.
Apologies.
No worries. I'll share my screen again. So what I was saying is there's a through line of security for all of our targets that we're currently focused on. And the cybersecurity, data security that is protecting our staff and student data is one of the highest focuses that we have for operational excellence. We're continually, every day, we have a team of people who monitor our network traffic. If there are for vulnerabilities and threats, and what we're doing is prioritizing that traffic to be proactive and close gaps that we see are vulnerable. And we're doing this on a continual basis. We do this through threat management. We have penetration test where we hire an outside company to come in and try to break into our network and our systems. And then if they see any vulnerabilities, we address those at that point in time. All of these things go into ensuring a robust network infrastructure, which also protects the data. So the second target that I wanted to review is our target of AI implementation. When we started this a couple of years ago, we identified 3 priorities that would create the foundation for our AI implementation. That's to mix data privacy, student voice, and community engagement. We did that. We had surveys, community engagements. We met roundtable discussions, and we took that feedback, and that helped to strengthen the work that we have done. So the results of that have been to establish an AI steering committee for providing direction and ensuring alignment with our district goals and priorities. And we meet every other week on Wednesday with the chiefs. We created cross-functional review committee that evaluates all digital resources before they're introduced to our schools or our departments. And that coincided, well, we started that work prior to the AI policy adoption, but we work in concert with our vendor approval process. We developed our generative AI guidance document, which outlines responsible use for and expectations for our staff and students. And during this past year, we have AI champions. We've trained over 290 both school and central office staff AI champions. And we provided in-person training to over 14,000 staff and 140,000 students regarding digital citizenship. Our next steps with our AI implementation is May 13th, we're going to have a CMS. It's our third annual CMS AI Data Privacy Summit. We will have a keynote address on the broader national landscape of how AI looks in society, not just for schools. We'll have updates on the our Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system implementation, and then we're going to have many keynote TED Talks with our AI champion schools. And then finally, we're going to have an interactive tabletop exercise that will be managed by our keynote speaker. So we're super excited about that, and that'll kick off our cyber security profile for the upcoming year. It also goes along with our cyber insurance requirements. So we're super excited about that. So our third target is the vendor approval process. You've heard possibly about the vendor approval process that's being managed by finance. Well, this is a part of that. It's a subset of that. But whenever a vendor or a partner requests or needs to use student or staff data, they have to go through this process to vet them to ensure that if they were compromised on their end, that they would be able to secure who would be liable, who would secure the data, and all of these structures and systems that they should have in place. And it's a very involved and complex process, and it's also a process that is noted at the state level that every school district should have in place. I think that we've been working for several years to get this where it needs to be, and we're right there at the cusp of ensuring that we're better than we ever have been, implementing a structured workflow to where everyone can go and see what products have been approved, what vendors have been approved, which ones are in compliance, and to ensure that we're not duplicating services. Mm-hmm. We've already implemented workflows, and we're working with a company called Learn Platform to integrate all of these processes. So next steps is to launch Learn Platform and take all these different systems and workflows that we've built around vendor process and put them under one portal, which would be Learn Platform. And then finally, our fourth target is around device management and the governance of those devices within our schools. We've designed a really structured program over the years to ensure that we can monitor, secure, and manage student and staff devices, specifically our student devices. And what that does is it allows us to protect the data. So if a device is lost or stolen, we can wipe it clean. We can protect the data. We can protect the district's investment. We can track the assets through our inventory. We can reduce downtime and ensure that these devices are available for learning. In addition to the device management of the schools, we have a system for governing how the devices are managed. And we do that through our educational technology team. And they offer multiple channels of communication to ensure that the tech associates at every school understand how the devices can be managed, how the work tickets and service tickets can be entered, how our it defines all of our standard operating procedures. We also offer mentorships and monthly training through our ed tech team as well. And these structures are the foundation for ensuring that we're successful and we are proactive in making sure that our students have that tool to learn. Let's see. That concludes my. That concludes my presentation.
I do have one question. It's about
Okay.
Target 3.
Mhm.
And I think I really do understand, what you're saying there. But does that data requirement impact all vendors or just vendors as it relates to student data? And also, what I'm wondering about is, how Dr. Hill has talked about how we use vendors and partners interchangeably. That in my mind, everybody is a partner, and other people are, whatever. But you're setting up a trading partner, whether it's volunteering, bartering, whatever. So walk me through how, if you can, in a timely manner and on this call, walk me through how you differentiate or what you add on to in terms of, so I'm a brand new partner. Let's say I'm a tutoring company and I'm partnering with CMS. I'm actually contributing monies to CMS. CMS is not paying me anything to do this. Do you process their MOU, their vendor stuff, all of that together? Is that kind of the function of what this is, or is it still separate processes that I'm speaking of?
You're exactly right. There are multiple paths, multiple avenues. For instance, the example that you gave, you're a tutoring partner, you're not being paid. This is a service that you're offering to the school system. However, you still need access to our student data or our staff data, whether anything that's PII related, personally identifiable information. That can be their student ID number, their addresses, any of that data, their grades. If you need access to that, we will do one of two things. We'll enter into a MOU, a memorandum of understanding, or a data sharing agreement. And Von Zell or Anna are usually there as our partner to work through those details with the partner in question. If you are a paid vendor, it's a little bit different. If we are paying you for a service and you have access to our staff and or student data, then you would have to show us that you were in compliance with security standards. It's called a SOC 2 compliance. Security.
Okay.
compliance, which is a lot of, it's a long process, and it's a detailed process to get that compliance certification. And if you've gone through that as a vendor, you have to show us that certification.
Okay, because there has been a long-standing thing out there in the community, and it's still kind of out there about partners being involved in the system, but not getting access to the data that they need. And I'm wondering if maybe this is the part that's not really connecting for them, or, in our process of improvement or whatever, it just hasn't cycled through. No telling what's going on, really. But this is helpful for me to know that there is such a process. So if I'm a vendor in this situation and I know I need data and I've gone through my MOU process, but I'm still not getting the data that I need, what do you think the bottleneck might be?
I think every situation that, well, first of all, the advice I would give to the partner would be to go work with partnerships. Usually they are our point of contact that lets us know, that lets technology know, we have this vendor that needs certain amount of access. Then that is when we will take up, they would go through their, the business owner. Does that help?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very helpful. That's very helpful. And I just think, like all things, people may just be slipping through the cracks or may not know exactly what they're asking for when they ask it or how to ask for it. So it's helpful for me to know that information. Yeah. So I thank you very
Data
much.
is a commodity, and
Yes.
it's getting, with the onset of how AI is being used in our society, we have to be very, very careful with who we share our children's data with and our staff data with. I mean, it's not we have to be vigilant.
Sure. And I don't think most of our partners would be asking like
No.
down to the child level, but they'd be asking for aggregate numbers like, did these kids, grow in this amount or something like that.
Oh, well, we
Yeah.
wouldn't be involved in that. My staff
Oh, I
wouldn't.
see. So it's only when you're drilling down into a child. Okay. Got it. That's helpful. That's also helpful to know. Okay. Well, I'm glad we asked that question because I'm like, okay. All right, Miss Stone, do you have a question?
Question about the,
Hold on one second. Can you hear the question okay?
I can.
Okay, fantastic. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hey, this is very interesting. Especially, I got something that popped up on my news feed today that I already is being sued for a data breach. Now, we get data breach notices from at home all the time. Oh, your data has been breached, blah, blah, blah. Did we get a notice from already that our data has been breached? Are we involved in this lawsuit?
I have not gotten that information at this point in time.
The litigants are from California, so
Yeah.
that could be.
And I can't speak to that, but I'll definitely look it up or investigate and get back with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We never know.
And thank you for your presentation, both Kelly and Candace. I don't think I thanked Kelly for hers, so I'm going back.
And I think Ms. Ship had a question.
Oh, go ahead, Ms. Ship. Go ahead.
Yes. First, I want to thank you for this, and I've seen the work as you brought this to us at the policy committee recently, and we passed this. So thank you for all the work and all you're doing. I think I'm looking at target 2, and I had a question, and you may have already brought this up. how well is this going when you talk about the training to the schools? And you kind of mentioned how important it is that the schools understand how to use AI and what's available, the resources. How is that going now since we have the policy in place and you've done the training? What have you seen in terms of how the schools are functioning with this?
Well, we have not trained all schools yet. We're on our final
Mhm.
leg of the training, and it's been very successful. We've actually done surveys, and we've gotten
Good.
so much positive feedback about how AI is such an elusive term.
Mm.
A lot of people don't, they think it's the next Google, but it's so much bigger than that. And what we've done is we've trained our AI champions, and they were serving as the trainer model.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's been very successful, and we're proud of the model that we've established, and we're positioned to take it to the next level.
Right. And do you have the support you need in the school? Does every school have the kind of tech associate? I know you were talking about training them and the mentorship and even working with devices. And a lot of times it's like, do you have what you need at the school level? So every school do they have what they need in terms of tech associates at every school doing this work?
Well, I mean, there is attrition, but we have an onboarding model through our educational technology team, and they are a machine. I mean, we have about 4 people on that team, but they have structures in place that fill in the gaps when there is attrition that happens at the schools. And we also have our technician support staff through our device management.
Right. Because I know this was important when we went to Infinity Camp, even with that, going from power
That's
school.
right.
As soon as you do these kinds of things, the school support is so great and needed. So, but thank you for this work and ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a question that I'm supposed to ask, which is, does this committee wish to have this report presented at an upcoming board meeting or distributed as an executive summary to the board?
I make a motion that it's an executive summary to the board.
Second.
Okay, so motion carries by, motion.
It had access to vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, the motion carries
Did
unanimous.
Member Stone
Yeah.
say aye?
She said
Okay.
aye.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, Madam Clerk, the motion carries unanimously, and this report will be presented to the board as
An
An
executive
executive
summary.
summary.
an executive summary.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, last but certainly not least, we've got Mr. Tim Ivy. Mr. Tim is going to make his report. Go ahead, tell us what you got, Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim Ivy. I'm the Chief Operations Officer for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, and we are going to talk about our building services report. I'm going to turn it over. Our report has 3 targets, and it involves 3 different people from different parts of building services and operations. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Associate Superintendent of Operations, Ms. Nicole Portee, to facilitate the report.
Hi, Miss Nicole Portee.
Hello, how are you? Tim, do you have it up? I don't.
I can for you. Hold on one second. I'll get my screen shared. Okay.
All right. We're going to go ahead and kick off. Good afternoon, Chair Haynes and committee members. We are going to kick off our facility update with Mr. David Switzer, who will provide the capital maintenance and FCA update.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to provide this update to you guys. Just since it's our first meeting together, just going to take a minute to explain kind of the formatting, the organization of the report that we'll be providing. As you see, it's pulled up on here. This is the list of our projects that we have currently either underway or not started, but we are planning to do. You can go from the very far left column, which is the either says FCA, and it'll say either yes or no. So the FCA is a facilities assessment that I believe Ms. Portillo will talk about a little bit more. But again, it was information assessment done by an independent company that gave us a lot of data and feedback on our facilities and gave us some driving information for our report and our projects. So the first column is FCA. So we are identifying whether it's yes or no FCA project. Our second column is a school. So again, at the top, it looks like Albemarle Road Elementary School. The next column would say a project, a boiler for them that would fall under the category of HVAC, and then an estimated cost. So that basically at the beginning, that's our starting point. All that information kind of gives us an opportunity to build our budget. The next column after that would be actual cost. So, and then status, completion date. So if you look at once we get a project completed or we get a cost before it's going to be completed, we put that in the category, and then we're able to kind of start budgeting and determining what projects that we're going to be able to do. As with anything with financials, we plan accordingly, but then once the actual costs keep coming in, it really does kind of determine what we're able to do. The next on the status, it's either not started, complete, or in progress. So again, like not started, obviously would be something that one is we haven't approved to get going yet. It may get pushed off to the following year. That could be supplier information from the supplier, contractor availability, or just purely funding. If costs have come based off our prioritization, that could have pushed a project down and not allowed us to start it yet. Next column is the completion date. So we have on there as far as, okay, here's when we finished. We finished on March 26th or November 2025. So we like to have a running tally, and we will provide that to you as the council and as the committee here, just to give you an idea of the work that we're doing on there. So Ms. Portillo, if you'll scroll down a little bit, I'll just provide some of the highlights. As you can see, it's in alphabetical order for schooling. So you could be able to check and see kind of schools maybe in the region you cover or represent, and you'll be able to see like if we have anywhere from roof replacements, could be HVAC, could be chillers. We have athletic fields on there that fall within site improvements. So again, they have just a listing of all the projects. If you will go to the very bottom, one of the things I'd like to point out for everybody, again, how do we prioritize these? So there's several things. We look at the FCA. We take that data we take our work orders from our system FMX. So schools are reporting hot classrooms, cold classrooms. That kind of drives us to be able to say, okay, do we need to replace the boiler? Do we need to replace a chiller? And then also our project managers, our senior engineers, our technicians, people that are out in the field, their expertise, their know-how, their content, their subject area knowledge, that also additionally helps us out to plan our project list. As you can see at the bottom, kind of everything's wrapped up in there. We have about if you take the numbers, we're about 28% of our funding goes to HVAC, because that's truly something that significantly impacts teaching and learning in the classroom. So we try to prioritize that right off the bat. Site improvements is another one. So it could be our athletic fields, it could be our tennis courts, anything it could be paving. That's another one, asphalt and paving, our parking lots, to make sure that we have bus lots that are in condition that our buses can roll on. So all those total each year, usually around this time of the year, we complete a draft list, and that's what we then push forward for the following year. So we will continue to update. We put it's a live document, so as far as what we provide to our team and to Chief Ivy and Ms. Bertie and everything we report up, and then able to share with people where the status is as far as projects. So Chairman Haynes, you had a question?
You're on mute.
Yes, I do. Y'all got to give this old lady a chance now. Good Lord. Okay. So I know Tim knows what I'm getting ready to ask. Maybe not, but it would be very helpful for us as a board and even as a community to understand what districts these high schools are in, and schools. And also, when I get this report, I would love to receive it in Excel so that I can sort accordingly. So what I may want to know is in District 2, how many projects do we have outstanding? How does that compare and match up to other districts? All of those things. And it's awful hard to get that figured out when you have a PDF. So there are some that may prefer the PDF. You can send it in PDF and Excel, but I would prefer to get it in Excel. And also I want to know which ones are in each district. And I know that other board members will find that helpful as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Ms. Stone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Switzer. This has been very informative about to see where the money goes basically how the priorities are set. One thing that sticks in my mind though, it shows up everywhere all the time, is the HVAC costs and also the ongoing expense of paying for the energy that we use to power those HVACs. You indicated that 20% of your project costs to maintain, and that's just maintenance on current HVAC systems, correct?
So it's about 28%, and that's new equipment. So again, a chiller. One of the examples, one of our schools, J.W. Greer, had a chiller that was vandalized, and so we then weren't even planning on having to replace that, but then we had to turn around, and we're in the process of replacing that. And it is running about $600,000 for that, as you could see. So it is equipment replacement, and then preventive maintenance. The better we can do with preventive maintenance, makes the lifespan of the equipment go longer. So that's included in that number as well. So anything that we can do to take care of our capital assets. Again, boilers are included in there, cooling towers, unit ventilators. So we've had classrooms where older equipment that has just not worked anymore. And so we've had to go in and replace that. So it is that number for HVAC is a combination of repairs, but also equipment and preventive maintenance.
Would you say that number is fairly stagnant? That's usually where it falls?
That's a pretty consistent number across the board, because based on what the FCA has shown us, we do have significant HVAC repairs and equipment replacement and upgrade. We like to say upgrade that we would like to do. One of the things we're trying to do is make sure that we have controls in place. So we have we have members here in the department. They're able to access schools controls for heating and cooling to be able to see and assess a problem before we even send a technician out. That really helps make it more efficient for our workforce. So, but there are schools that are not on that system. So again, we're working on that to get all the schools under that, so we can basically have eyes on those systems. So that's a big part of our expense right now. And as you know, with technology, it is pretty expensive with everything to be put into place for that.
Say it again. I got us on mute.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any more questions? Okay, thank you so much. And we can go now to our second target.
All right. We have Ms. Shawn Turner, who will provide an update on the budget associated with our capital outlay.
Hi, Shawn. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Good afternoon, Chair Haynes and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. I am sharing information about the financial end of it. As you can see, this information represents the budget that has been provided by Mecklenburg County. We're very fortunate for fiscal year 2026. They provided $32,960,000 for us to address deferred maintenance. And my team works very closely with David Switzer's team to procure the goods and services associated with these projects, whether it's HVAC, parking lots, tennis courts, no matter what it is. We work very closely with his project managers to develop the procurement method, to actually do the procurement, and then to track these numbers. Our target is encumbering and paying 100% of the funds that have been allocated. As you can see, that first column represents the budget that was provided by Mecklenburg County. As of March 12th, you see that a little over $20 million had been encumbered and or paid, which represented at that time 63% of that total budget. I will tell you that as of today, when I checked the numbers, that number has increased to 84%. And so we're tracking along very nicely. Again, we work very closely with David Switzer's team, but we also work very closely with Chiquita Lloyd's team and the supplier development team to ensure that we're incorporating as many vendors in the process as possible, those who have expressed interest in doing business with CMS. And in fact, planning to participate in the supplier development summit next week on April 22nd. So that is my report. And I'm happy to entertain any questions you may have.
I do have a question. I know that that we report on the MBSE, and I'm sure I'm missing a letter.
MWCB.
Yes, I know that we report on that in the bond committee, but I would also like to work with this team to see where it makes sense for us to report it here. Because this is the team that's sort of has management oversight of these things. And so I really want to make sure that even if we're doing it twice, even if we have what's been presented at the bond oversight committee here, I definitely want to make that part of our reporting structure as it relates to this.
Okay.
So just wanted to put that out there, and we'll make a formal request like we're supposed to, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. I do want to make sure that everyone is aware that anytime we're taking anything to the board, any projects to the board, that we have worked really well with our supplier development team to ensure that they've looked at it, that we've identified any participation that we have. In addition to that, any participation that we have in any of these projects, as well as other projects that are not represented here, would be incorporated into the HubSco report that Chiquita Lloyd and her team are responsible for. And Chiquita is on the call if you have any more specific questions regarding that.
Well, since I didn't put it on the agenda, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just going to say we'll moving forward, that's what we will do.
Okay.
Some of the things that I ask for, some of them are for me to know as a board member, but oftentimes they are for the general public, so that we're keeping our public informed and that they understand the work that's being done alongside in the, because everybody who looks at the Capitol live stream may not look at this, and these two really are kind of the same interrelated things. So No doubt, I was on in 2019, so I remember all the questions we asked. The last committee meeting that I was on, man, that report got very detailed, and I really appreciated that. So, but I don't want to bring up bond oversight. I'm done with that. I'm on to new things now.
Okay.
All right. So, does
All
anyone
right.
else have questions for Miss Shawn? No. Okay. All right. Seeing none, we'll go to the third target.
All right. So I will provide the update on the facility condition assessment, which is part of our district's annual plan. The goal of this assessment is to review the condition and evaluate the physical state of all CMS school systems, such as our boilers, HVAC, roof units, playgrounds, etc. And it is to identify deficiencies and estimate the cost for repair or replacement of those assets, or if we should push it toward a capital renewal. To date, we have conducted 2 phases of this assessment. Phase 1 was initiated back in 2023, and phase 2 we initiated this year. In phase 1 and 2 of the assessment, it included all schools and administrative sites not included in the 2017 and the 2023 bond. So if
Okay.
any of the schools were a part of the 2017 and the 2023 bond, they were not included in the facility condition assessment. During our phase 1, we assessed about 30 schools and support facilities. And the information that came from that, we had about a $57 million worth of deferred maintenance or critical repairs and replacements that we needed to address. So Mr. Switzer talked a little bit earlier about the work that he has undergone, him and the team, to address those assets and determining if we would repair and or replace those assets. Where majority of the information that we collected geared toward our HVA systems and our roof replacements. About 23% of the funding went toward HVAC. For phase 2, we kicked that off this year and just concluded. We had about 103 schools, administrative sites, and 161 mobiles, modulars, restrooms, and our athletic fields. The findings of this data is still being compiled. And so the goal overall for this particular report is to ensure that we can prioritize the projects to address the safety and performance of the integrity of those assets and the life cycle. It's just like a motor. After a while, if you don't put oil in it, you got to get a new motor. So we are working very closely with the maintenance team to ensure that this data is compiled and used as our primary source for determining our projects. Also, our goal is to utilize this data to build out our long-range facility master plan, which is a strategic roadmap to address future growth. So as the district grows, how do we plan on keeping up with the growth? In addition to that, it will support our capital needs assessment, which will inform our immediate needs for repair and replacement. And so what you will see in this particular document that Tim has up is a list of all of the schools that were assessed. And we did in this particular report include if it was part of the phase 1 FCA or the phase 2, or if the school was included in the 2017 or 2023 bond, along with the board district. So you'll be able to actually see what schools are included in this particular list. And the next steps of this process is to make sure that we compile all of the data that will then start our process toward the long-range facility master plan. And I will entertain any questions at this time.
Ms. Stone, did you have questions about this?
There's it looks like there's over 100 schools that are in phase 2 that's going to come out in the report.
Yes.
So I think it will be very helpful to see it on a spreadsheet, so we can just call it up by school or by district or something like that to see it in Excel. Are we looking at any new design processes or upgrades to improve the effectiveness of our heating and cooling systems while lowering the costs and maybe improving lifetime?
Our life cycles of our assets, absolutely. This report actually will support our ability, one, to identify where we need to make those repairs or replacements. And then we'll be working very closely with David and the team and our facilities team to ensure that we are identifying assets that will certainly address our energy usage. I know that that is another conversation that is taking place in our bond oversight committee meeting. And so both teams are working very closely together to ensure, so if we're building a school, we want to make sure that we are also identifying like-size assets to go in our existing buildings as well. So we're working very closely to ensure that we're aligned there.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yes.
Miss Lenora Shipp?
Yes, that was part of the question I was going to ask. I know that it came up in the Capital community meeting about, and I know someone who's been really interested in looking at solar panels. What are we doing with that? I actually know one of the committee members that it really is interested in that, Nelson.
Yes, it comes up every
I think he
single
might have
time,
been
and
my
that's good.
appointee.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I know that's been a concern, and I hope that we are continuing to look at that when we talk about energy efficiency. And of course, HVAC is the biggest piece that we spend maintenance money on, I know. And so I thank you for really looking at the needs of these schools and really making a difference. I think this kind of report and having this started a couple of years ago, I want to thank you for that work, because it really has made a difference in the progress you're making, and also how we're evaluating what's the needs assessments for all these schools. And I really was looking at that when you had 74.6% of the components rated very poor or poor, and only 25.4% of the components rated fair to very good. So I think that's important to note too there, and where we are in the process of working with these schools that are needed.
Yes.
So
the one thing
thank you.
the one thing I will add is that this report also can further, we hope to further inform to what extent we would want to determine, how much money we would pour into a new school, or if the school should, be considered for, a future bond. Although not our call, but the data itself helps us to calculate those costs, and the facility conditions report will also include an energy usage by school. So one of the things we'll be able to see is, how do we rate, how does the energy rate or intake look like for each of our schools, and where we need to be making some adjustments. So we're really excited about that.
Well, thank you all so much for the report and what you bring each time. And I've had a chance to hear you all. So that's why I didn't have as many questions, because, I've been here on this committee a minute. So thank you all so much. And I've got to see the work, continuous improvement. Thank you.
So with that concludes our report. If there are no more questions, back to you, Mr. Ivy.
Thank you, team. Y'all did a great job. Any other questions?
Well,
I don't know, is this the right place to ask to find out if there are any formalized studies going on about energy efficiency building codes or anything going on with the staff looking into these types of things that would be helpful for us to know?
Yes, you can ask that question. I think that it's important that we have actually done some of those studies. And we had mentioned this back when we had talked about it on the bond committee, is that you always have to look at it holistically, as there's always new technology out there, and there are always ways that they want you to engage in using those. And what we have to look at is a lot of different factors, especially with older buildings, is how does that work with the older building? What are the actual cost and life cycles for that equipment and the upfit that it would cost to be able to utilize it? So there's a lot of different myths out there about energy, different types of energy usages and things. And so we actually have done those studies. We'll be glad to provide some of that information. I know that it's something we're supposed to bring back to the next bond committee meeting, and we're working on preparing that presentation. But we do look at that. I do want you to know is anytime we replace an HVAC unit, we are automatically gaining efficiency with that. But to get your energy or your EUI for a building, there's much more to it than just the HVAC unit.
Right.
It's also the age of the windows, the doors,
Mhm.
the insulation, the way the building was actually designed at the time. A lot of times you lose a lot of energy efficiency through what's actually above the drop ceiling as opposed to the parts that you see. Where does that energy or where does that heat and cooling store? So there are things that we can address, and there are also some things that we might not necessarily be able to address. But we do look at all of our buildings, do the energy usage for each one, identify those that are our high needs or are using our most energy consumption, and then have plans to address those. And I will tell you, Mr. Switzer's team has done a great job this year identifying energy, outliers and addressing that, and have actually produced quite a bit of savings through just initial what we consider basic things that we've done to kind of address some of those things. And we're continuing to work on that to make improvements.
Well, if if you've got any information that you could share on newer construction, that would be helpful, because I think to go back and say, oh, well, wouldn't it be wonderful if the next time an HVAC system breaks down, we're just going to go put the state of the art stuff on top of the building and it's going to fix everything. We all know that's not how it's going to work. So
Well, just if you put that, if you send that request, I can request for that.
Okay.
At the next.
I'll just send it through board member or chair. Hey, chair. Okay,
And
thanks.
that is part of our next bond committee meeting. So that is something that's going to be reported out there as was requested.
Okay, so I know that in the construction portion of our meeting, there are many things that overlap. But again, this is the oversight portion, the oversight committee. So we may have times where we have a little bit of overlap. I'm okay with that, so long as it's productive and so long as it helps us to get a sense of what's happening in all the areas. Um, I got a couple of things. We got 5 minutes to wrap up, which I'm extremely proud that we have honored each other's time. We didn't go over. And I hope nobody felt rushed through this process as well. And that we're up. Wait a minute. I got to do my statutory function first. Okay. At this point in time, I'd like to ask the committee members, does this committee wish can I get a motion for the committee to have this report presented at an upcoming board meeting or distributed as an executive summary to the board? You can motion by saying by raise of hand.
Yeah, I will make a motion that it becomes an executive summary to the board.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
My hand's up.
Cynthia's hand is up. My hand is up. Madam
Aye.
Clerk, I think that's unanimous.
Got it.
Monty signal with an eye, with an, he can't,
Aye.
he may not be able to raise his hand. Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, the motion carries unanimously to have this report as an executive summary to the board. Okay,
Got
see,
it.
I did a little better that time. All right, so we got about 3 minutes, and within those 3 minutes, what I'd like to say is I'm getting more and more familiar with this committee. This meeting has taught me a great deal. We've had some really good, robust discussion about some things. As we spoke about earlier, please don't be surprised if there are extra things that are asked for, or there are extra accountabilities involved, just because I am seeing where even to that degree, meeting quarterly may not necessarily be enough for the things that we're trying to do here. So just be on the lookout for those things. And I promise I'm not trying to put us in more meetings than what we need to be in, but I also want to make sure that we are we're touching all of our bases, particularly that one where we're supposed to measure every 3 years. So keeping us to policy, keeping us accountable, and keeping us to be good partners to one another. I'm very happy with how this meeting turned out, and I'm appreciative of everybody. And so with that, I'll give you 2 minutes back into your time. This meeting is officially adjourned at 2:28 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.